All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're gonna discuss relations according to Dr. Welsing. Um, just a little scholarship. This is not gonna be a very long space. Probably do a couple hours, but just wanted to discuss the issue and see what bounce some ideas and see what y'all think. Um, you know, and look at the history behind interracial relations and just identify a couple of things according to history. Is that where the love is? Like NBA young boy said, "Where the love at? Where the love at? I'm fresh about to sell. Where the bag at? Flying, but now I need somewhere to land at. I took a loss, but now I'm looking where the chance at. But I'm a boss, so you need some help, and I can hand that." He says, "I wish I was somewhere where it ain't no violence, but I've been toting that pole every time that I roll, trying to bust a nigga head if he try me. At night, I need someone by my side just to hold me. But I was trying, and I'm really tired of saying that. I'm tired of thugging. Now I'm trying to see where the love at. Where the love at? Is the love in racial dating?" Not according to Chancellor Williams. Chancellor Williams says, quote, "For generations, Memphis was almost entirely an all African city, with white Asian villages slowly growing up around the outskirts. For the Asians were a smart and very cunning people. Once conquered, they feigned complete and humble acceptance of African rule." Check that shit out. What did Chancellor just say? Chancellor said that the Asians, before any issues with Caucasian, any issues with whites, Egypt got in a battle with the Asians and beat the shit out of them. But what's our problem? We trust people. So the Asians, you know, pretended like they, were under our rule. Um, Far from showing, according to Chancellor Williams, quote, "far from showing the signs of feeling any racial superiority, they were such masters of the art of disassembling that they could hoodwink the Africans, often under the guise of brotherhood, by capturing on their often dark complexions, similar institutions, intermarriages, mixing with the black population. Generally, as far as possible, that all this was the direct route to repeated Asian ascendancy in a continent few Africans seem to see. For they were, as a race, too ready to forgive and forget past evils committed by foreigners, whereas, on the other hand, a fellow Asian tribe could easily become a traditional enemy and continue as such for many generations that no one could remember what the original quarrel was about. The blacks, then, were apparently unconcerned about Asian villages springing up just outside of Memphis. We're talking about Memphis, Egypt, y'all. Quote, "the largest one rapidly developing across the river on the right bank. This community was to become the Asian city of Frostadt that would challenge the supremacy of the capital city and eventually help change its African character and cause its final destruction." Like I said earlier, the Africans felt sorry for beating their ass and gave them women. And in 200 years, it was a whole interracial village that did not identify with black. And a civil war broke out. Why in the hell we be forgiving people like that? I can't, I don't get it. What do you think, Wani? Why do we forgive people so fast?
I don't know. You just seem to have a short memory and just keep it actually happens on the app. People do really horrible things and the next thing you know they're back in the room and nobody wants to talk about it. But I never understood how you can have these mixed allegiances. I don't even understand how it goes unless you have a relationship where you are like a fetish or you just objectify the person, but I don't know how you have a close personal relationship with someone from another background. It just doesn't seem that it makes any sense unless you, like I said, unless you just have a fetish and you're not even trying to have a deep relationship with the person. You're just looking at something superficial because it's very difficult. I can't see how it could be smooth and easy to carry that type of relationship, any kind of relationship. Something's got to give. someone has to submit to someone else's culture and beliefs, and the beliefs of these other groups are not ever aligned with what we're doing.
Oh yeah, I've seen it how many times. You gotta just take on, yeah, and the Caucasian culture. Even um, the theologian James Cone wrote a real good book called "The Cross and the Lynching Tree." The basic premise of that book was the same time um, blacks and whites have the same quote unquote same God, but why is it? He said that Sunday is the most segregated day of the week. Like basically, like we don't worship the same God. The brand of Christianity often praised in the white community, according to Dr. John Henry Clark, is called Christendom. Whereas blacks, foundational black Americans, put a lot of spirit, and it's just different. So I agree with you. And I got family members and friends who've married, outside of their race, and it seems superficial. It seems kind of like fake. I mean, shit, dude, it's hard enough being married to a foundational black American. Marriage is real difficult. Um, but I can't even imagine being married to somebody outside of my race. I mean, I could imagine being married, but I just don't see how it would last longer than a year or two. It seems like you get on each other's nerves, or like Wani just said, somebody's just gonna have to say, "Fuck me." I'm gonna go to their church and I'm gonna start acting like them, which usually is what happens. And unfortunately, I'm gonna go ahead and say it from my anecdotal experience. The black person in a relationship just is the one that caves in and says, "Okay, now I'm gonna listen to country music and I'm gonna drink Miller Lite and watch the football game and say woo." I'm like, dude, why are you saying woo? You
I
never
have to
said that
say
before.
woo. That's part of the
Yeah,
deal.
I'm from Alabama, so I've seen it. They start saying dude and all kind of stuff. It's like, dude, you didn't. But one of the things is, and I say again, marriage is outrageously hard. I'm not even gonna address that tonight. But one of the things that make marriage worth it is having the experience you have in America as a foundational black American. You can kind of come home when y'all are getting along and kind of relate. Man, today I experienced racism on my job. It's common ground. So if you have somebody who is outside of your racial dynamic, they can't relate to you. They could try to empathize, but it's phony. I was I don't know if it was Dr. Joy DeGruy. I forgot who it was, but some psychologist talked about people in our community going to other races is because on
Professors, try to stay in
superficial,
one. Pro- Professor, I apologize. I sincerely apologize for interrupting you.
it's breaking up.
Yeah, try to stay in one spot. Just try to stay in one
Oh,
spot.
okay. Is that better now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, thank you for letting me know that. And I mean, I'm frustrated to the ninth power. I don't understand how the hell I'm gonna get a brand new iPhone 16 plus, whatever this thing's called, and my reception goes down by half.
I
I don't.
mean,
I might need to
I
take.
can launch some of the spaces too. Going forward.
No, 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 no,
You
no,
know,
no. It's okay. It's okay. I'm
It's
gonna go
not
by
your
the store.
phone. It's not your phone. It's the app is kind of messed up, and most people's internet connection is not perfect either. So don't worry about it. It's
No,
not
I
your
think
phone
it,
at all.
Wani. I think it is because everywhere
I
I go is like down by half. So this might be defective phone. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna check into that.
have them to check it,
Um,
but don't feel like you're the only one because I have that problem all the time.
yeah, no, no, no. I'm not stressing over it. It's just like um, it's a little frustrating when my old phone was working a lot better than this one. Although this one is more aesthetic. It has cooler things on it, but it's just functionality of my old phone worked better. But and I feel like I kind of wasted some money. But I think it was Dr. Joy DeGruy. Can y'all hear me clearly now?
we can hear you clearly.
Okay, I'm not gonna move. Okay, Dr. Joy DeGruy, I think I'm gonna give her credit for it, although it may not have been her. I feel like it was her. She said that uh, in the black community, we seek out people who seem to be calm and even and are nurturing. And that's just how bad it is being black. And, this experience is we're so stressed out and burnt out by society is we don't really have that bandwidth in general to just be, especially our sisters, you know what I'm saying, to be like, hey, how you doing, honey, and be nurturing and stuff. You burn out, you know what I'm saying. So when we get around each other, it's burnout plus burnout. And Dr. DeGru said that attracts black men to other women because they seem sweet and nurturing. Let me, come on, hug me, I'm gonna hug you, let me wash your feet, all right, honey, come on, let me bathe you, all that type of shit. But that never lasts. It's like after a minute, it's like that don't last. But it's kind of a vicious cycle. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing argues that um, she says, "quote the increase in interracial marriages can be viewed as a means of escape and a means for blacks to avoid the awareness of their continuing status as permanent outsiders." So Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said interracial marriage and dating is all about trying to escape our condition. So shit, I don't know what to say about our condition. But anyway, I digress.
Can I say something on this?
Go ahead, FBA.
Appreciate it, man. Man, you be preaching in here, man. Uh, man, I think that interracial marriage is. I think this is the most detrimental thing facing Black America right now. The whole new generation, the whole Gen Z, all them got white bitches. All of them got Latino bitches. I, I I mean, like to the point, like it's like 60% of them, and I'm talking about the kids under the age of 21. I would say anywhere from 40 to 60% of them are with non-black women. And it's
Wow.
yeah, it's
Where do
horrible.
you live again?
So I would say this: in the deep South, it ain't that bad. In the deep South, like in Georgia, it ain't that bad. When I moved back to Louisville last year to help my mother out with her anxiety attack, it was so bad. Everybody from, and I would say
Wait,
about
what city did you say this was? I couldn't hear you. I'm
my bad, my,
sorry.
my bad, Louisville, Kentucky, my hometown,
Louisville,
Louisville.
Kentucky. Okay.
Yeah, man, dude. I swear to God, dude. Everybody under, like everybody 40 and down. I would say about 50% of the population is dating now, 40 and down. It's crazy. I mean, crazy, dude. And it just started happening like in the last 10 years. Louisville was the most segregated city in the South up until like 10 to 15 years ago. We mirrored the demographic patterns of the Midwest because we're right next to the Midwest. And the Midwest is extremely segregated. So
Yeah,
Louisville,
it's like that in Milwaukee too.
right,
But
right. Yep.
Milwaukee is highly segregated. And I'm cutting you off because this sounds like your experience is similar to mine here, except for it's white men and black women. Now, I don't want to hear nobody accusing me of that. I don't do that. Everybody I date just happens to be out of, I've ever dated has happened to be in a different state, from a different state. But I know that Dr. Welsing, she was talking about interracial marriages, how they can be viewed as a means of escape. And I think sometimes that's uh, connected to your environment. If and you just don't want to handle the racism around you, so you just want to pretend that you are not seen as an outsider. So that could be what's happening as well. But all I see when I go in the mall, all I see is black men, I mean black women, and it used to be all black men and white women. Now it could be a black woman, y'all, with a white man riding in the raggediest old beat up van, and the man could just have Lysol in his hair. He'll be stinking. They'll be the lowest of the low of white men, and they walking around like they didn't got something. And they'll be the same people who work with me. It'll be some of these nurses who work with me. They making all this nurse money, and they taking care of some poor ass white man. So you have to wonder what the psychology is behind that. That's mental illness. But go ahead, FBA. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Hell no, you
And
you
FBA
said a
told me to
point.
make this room. He said, "Hey, do a room on this." Here we go.
I appreciate it. it's bad though. I mean, horrible. In a dynamic that I'm seeing, this is the most dangerous thing about swirling that I'm seeing. Y'all, this is creating an entire new class of mulattoes or mixed breeds who are at dude. So the most well-to-do black men tend to be marrying outside the race. The black men with resources, the black men with brains. These black men who would make black children who would be on par with them, they aren't doing that. They're making mixed kids and creating an entire new class of mixed people who who tend to have more money, tend to have more access to non to white institutions that regular black people don't have access to. When they talk about black people, they say them, they don't say us, they say they and them. This is universal. Like, it's not even so much that niggas are dating out. You ain't even teaching your motherfucking mixed kid that they black. You ain't even teaching them they black. You letting them be something else. Nigga, we in the middle of a war, and you've dedicated your life to chasing interracial sexual access. I mean, it's crazy out here, dude. And this is
Yeah.
gonna go ahead.
Now, I get what you're saying because I live in California and we did that because it looked like things were going away from being racist. It was kind of like a bubble. Like it was. It just felt like, hey, it's not really racist out here and things are going to go this way. Even if we knew the South was suffering, we said it's the trend is going to go toward not being racist and people started to get married. Okay, so here's the deal. Don't confuse dating and humping on people with getting married because the statistics just don't bear it out. It still says 85%, 85 to 87%. So we're not marrying a lot of people. People are dating a lot of people, and they're literally having a bunch of kids by people. And those people are running around calling their children niggers with the hard R on TikTok. Yeah, this lady was, I don't believe in Black Lives Matter. This little nigger I'm driving around. And it's like, that's your child. Okay.
She like Nick. She like in Dick, but she
Right.
don't like
And
the
we
kids she
ran up
birthed.
on her family. We ran up on her Dominican family and said, what the cluck is this shit? Got her fired from her job. And her family was copping pleas. Oh, we don't train them like we didn't train her to act like that. Yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. So that's the number one danger is you dumping your brat off on some family that does, I have seen this a lot. Dumping your brat off on some family who doesn't like people that are of African descent, doesn't like brown people, and aspires to be white but wants to sleep black. This is the number one thing, being a hypocrite once again, which is my pet peeve, hypocrites. If you don't like people of African descent, if you don't like brown people and you aspire to be white and you don't like people with brown skin, stop having sex with them. Stop making babies with them. That's all. It is really simple. Have your children with the white men that you aspire to be. But they do it every time. They use black men for sex, they use them for stepping stones, Kamala. And then when they get what they want to get, they slippity slide on over to a white boy. Okay? This is a typical thing. Jennifer Lopez, I can name tons of them, but I don't feel like it because you already know what they do.
Halle Berry even kind of did that, even though she's back to black men too. But wasn't she dating black men in the beginning, and
Well,
then she went over to white men?
she okay, she's a little bit different. I'm not going to bust her chops because she tried to date regular black men, got mad, then dated some mixed black men thinking that that was the answer, got mad again, dated northern European white men, southern European white men, got mad again and went back to black. So she's just making the rounds trying to figure out which one. I'm not I'm not going to say she used them as stepping stones because that's a different story. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to put that on her, but a lot of women do use these people as sex toys, stepping stones, or whatever the hell. And yes, we have children being raised by people that hate them. In fact, one black guy was on Facebook and he was told that his child was aborted, right? But in fact, the white woman that he had gotten pregnant was trying to adopt the child out, and he found out she was trying to do an adoption, and he slipped in and snatched his child out of her clutches. She didn't want him to even know she had a child by him, and her family was against it. But I mean, don't you know that you can't weather the storm of your family when you're laying up in the bed? What is wrong with people? Don't you know your family is bitterly racist? Because I mean, I've seen this around me. I know a woman who lives next to a bitterly racist man, and he had a black grandchild. Okay. He was bitterly racist, hated her living next to him. And then all of a sudden he had this black grandchild. Now he wants to be nice. Go ahead. I'm sorry for
Those
the.
poor babies. I just don't trust anybody like that
I do
around no
not.
kids.
I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
Wani,
tough one.
that's some, I'm a bad.
Oh, go ahead, bro. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Wani, I had a psychology teacher in high school. She was a mixed lady. Her granddaddy was a grand wizard, and she was
What?
telling us, yeah. Her granddaddy was a grand wizard. She was a young teacher at the time too. She was tall and real fucked up built. Oh, she was the worst built lady you would ever see in your life. But yeah, she would always tell us that when they was growing up, she would try to wear her hair a certain way, and her granddaddy would get mad and stuff and tell, "Why don't you wear it straight like a white girl?" and stuff like that. So, you know, when these niggas, when they be making babies with these white girls, yes, they call their babies niggas. That's something my granny used to say back in the '90s and early 2000s and stuff like that. As soon as they get mad, they gonna call them a nigga, and that's what they do. All mixed kids, I would say about 70% of mixed kids have a story of their white mama, if they got a white mama, calling them a nigga. So it's
That is
just,
awful. That's really horrible.
It creates a conflict because you have this country propagandizes us to teach us that white is better in everything. And if you have a white parent, particularly in the American South, you're going to view the white side of the family as better. Y'all remember that joker that's in one of our spaces a couple weeks ago? So what that does is make the child angry that he or she has a black parent, and then to make it weaponized as a child, and I think Tariq calls it a tragic mulatto. I'm from a mixed up family. Like we've been up by that slave trade, and that is it causes confusion. The Egyptians did not race mix, and I understand why. Earlier, began this space off in I think it was what was it 337 BC. I'll check the year momentarily, but yeah, race mixing was the original weapon that kicked the black man and woman out of control of the planet. You know what I'm saying? So race mixing has always been a big no-no with respect to power. But I can speak from personal experience. It's divisive. Having a child born in your family that, like in my family, that occasionally got freckles and blue eyes, everybody treats them differently. And then that same child will have a brother that comes out brown. Everybody treats him differently. I remember when I was at a family reunion once, and I noticed that the some of the brown members of my family immediately, when we were done, they felt it was their duty to get up and start cleaning up. I noticed little things like that. It puts you in a certain category. You know what I'm saying? And some of the ones that are real light with blue eyes and red hair and freckles think they're pretty. And that's not necessarily true. Light skin and blue eyes green eye, that shit don't make you pretty. Why do people think that? Anyway, I digress.
you hurting feelings, man.
Come on with it,
You
Stacey.
hurting
Well,
feelings.
let me speak on the professor because I hear you talking about you mixed up, but I can tell that you were raised to be a proud black man. That
Oh yeah.
there's a difference. Yes, it is confusing in certain ways, but I can tell that you had a strong family support. So please don't ever put yourself in the same category as those people because
No, I'm
yeah.
not. I'm not putting myself. I'm just talking about that. What I was trying to do is talk about what that does to families, and I'm speaking on experience. And I've always been kind of like an observant person. I sit back and don't say shit and watch it. And for years, I've watched certain family members. Like my genes are weird. Like we'll have like my little sister's almost chocolate. She's honey brown. We have same dad, same mama. It's those genes skip around. And my mom and aunts were they got blue eyes and stuff, but they were the type of women like Malcolm X mama that there's been a trend in my family of they trying to marry the blackest dude they can, like unconsciously. Me and Wani's talked about that to try to unconsciously erase the white genes, but but that gene is strong and it skips around. It got me, and I'm cool with who I am, but I'm just saying I've watched it kind of put family members in categories. I'm just saying they treat black families in the South in general kind of treat you differently if you're light and your hair. I've heard it. You know what I'm saying? Look at her ears. Look at their ears. Ooh, she light skinned. Look at her ears. You tell. It's a big deal, or it
Yeah, when
used
you
to be.
get born, that's what the Filipino people do. They, not just the Filipino, but they look for the blue marks on the baby's body to make sure it's Asian when they have a child with someone that's not Asian. That's what the women in my family did. They caused a lot of scandals because they were how do I put this nicely? They were hoochie mamas. And all of the very light skinned women had dark skinned men, but they had light skinned husbands. So you can only imagine all the children that came out that were not the predicted shade. And all of those children went over to my grandmother's house. So the family tree is fun.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
that colorism shit is dangerous. Hey, but Midwest, hey, let me ask because a lot of us agree with this issue. Are there any people who disagree? Are there people who feel that race mixing isn't an issue? Anybody in here?
I do. I do. Midwest. I disagree. I disagree.
Can you elaborate on why you disagree?
I think feminism is more of an issue. I think white supremacy is more of an issue. I think a lot of people that say, well, a black man or a black woman should be with a certain type of person, they don't want to compete in the sexual marketplace. They don't want to lift weights. They don't want to increase their income. They don't want to wash their asses. They don't want to change their attitude. Uh, I think that when you do certain activities, let's say you're a black guy, freedman or regardless, whatever, you're into doing judo, you do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you do Muay Thai, you do CrossFit. You're not gonna find a lot of black women, regardless of where their ethnic background is, that do that. And then since most guys really don't get attention from women, they're gonna go whoever just gives them attention. They're gonna learn from that. And then you see, like Wani spoke of, you see a lot of women who adopt the characteristics of black women now. They're gonna do their lunges, their squats, eat chicken breast, rice, vegetables to get that butt. And when you're at the gym or you're walking down the street or you're in the mall, you see them yoga pants, you see that booty going. You're not looking at the skin color because all yoga pants look the same. And two, I do think that as a man, because I will get you when Tree talk about these Negro veterans like Candace Owens, when they do get with a zaddy, they adopt their white supremacy views. To me, white woman, Asian woman, whichever, if they get with me or anyone else, they must adopt certain views of me because they become a part of that. That so if they're not going to do that, then I'm not going to pursue nothing serious with them. And I don't really support marriage anyway. I think y'all all most women divorce you ain't. That's a tangent, but yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So I'm completely against you,
marriage is at a
FBA.
very bad state right now. Relationships in general across the country and demographics are at a bad place, unfortunately.
So
Station was up. Go ahead, Station.
Yeah, I just want to say, when you, especially a man, when you get married, women in general, they gravitate more towards their own family. Odds are your kids are going to spend more time with your wife's family versus your family. And if something happens to you, your kids are going to be with that woman and her family more so than yours. I've seen it. I've seen situations where people thought love above all. The person passed away, and their mixed child then was left dealing with a extended family that was racist. um, Especially, I've noticed with a lot of immigrants, a lot of the um, African and Caribbean immigrants, both male and female, they tend to get with white people here. And to my understanding, it has to do with them wanting to get their, if they need to get their papers faster. White people, they say, tend to want to get married a bit quicker.
So you
However,
think that they're grinding for a green card?
yes.
Um,
However, it's like I knew a woman who she was from Kenya. She ended up marrying a white man. They were good, but they ended up getting divorced, and then they had the shared custody thing, and then she passed away. And that child, he's married, remarried, but he married a white woman. And so her daughter, she has no connection to her extended family because they're in Kenya, and it is known that his family is racist. But those are her babysitters, those are her caregivers, those are the people that she spends the majority of her time with. So it's like there's things that you have to keep in mind, and not just thinking about, what you're attracted to and what you like, because a situation can change. And regardless of, how great that person is, if their family isn't on board with you, or your family isn't on board with this other person, you always have to think about what the final outcome can be. And that's what a lot of people don't think about. And I'll land there.
Yeah, and it also, yeah, it creates a dynamic oftentimes, especially when the child doesn't isn't really passable. You can really tell that they're mixed with black. That child, in order to get love from their white side of the family or get acceptance, will show disdain for for their black side. Like, so it creates all kinds of problems. Dr. Claude Anderson addressed it and addressed this issue in a essay that he labeled "They Were Less Than Pure." Dr. Claude Anderson says the state, quote, the state of Virginia all set enact racial integrity laws in the 1940s received an emotional jolt when George S. Schuler, in his book Racial Intermarriages in the United States, made public the results through his investigations into the genealogies of high level Virginia government office holders. His book announced sad news that to many whites, Virginia was a very racially mixed state. Even amongst the American Indians, this posed a little problem for a large number of whites who publicly claimed to be pure, white or mixed with pure Indian blood. Schuler's research was more specific and indicated that about 45% of the nation's white population had some quantity of black blood in their veins. The black blood came in through Indian ancestors. Hello, Anderson says, quote, this black blood expose included most of the big money first families or the blue bloods of Virginia, who after learning about the black blood in their veins undoubtedly skipped many social T's. Let's rewind. Dr. Anderson said that blood came from the black blood came in through black Indian ancestors. That one liner right there. Indians were black, damn it. Um
that's what my mother told me. My mother told me, my mother was a scholar before she got sick, and she told me that black people were already here. And my grandmother told her that, and my great great grandmother told her that. And I tend to believe what I was told by my ancestors.
yeah, Nikki, I did I did a training with the Marines in Paris Island in South Carolina. I think it's Beaufort, South Carolina. But when we were done, they let us go to the museum, and one of the Army commanding officers with us was like, he's like, "Hey, Big A, look at that. We the fucking Native Americans." And I said, "Sir," and I looked up, and there was a big early photograph of the War of 1812. I think it was one of those wars, Spanish American War. It was either Spanish American War or the War of 1812, where the Marines were called out to arrest the Native American family, the Indian families. And you had a couple Marines arresting about 140 Indians, air quotes. And I looked at them, I said, "Oh my God." They was jet black, um, had afros and cornrows, but they had feathers in their hair now. They had the clothes was exactly like the movies, but them was black folk. So something needs to be done about that whole issue. We are indigenous. Seventh Ward, what you got?
Yeah, thanks, man. Look, I'm not trying to put down anybody's experience or disparage it, but in my family, I mean, the color runs the gauntlet. Eye color runs the gauntlet. Hair color, hair texture runs the gauntlet. There was never any colorism in my family. We all looked at each other as family. We never disparaged or looked down on anybody. We all got along fine. So I understand that other people's families had issues, but that was never an issue in our family. We all loved each other no matter what we looked like. And with that, I'll yield the mic.
Well, what state were you in, hon?
Louisiana.
Great. That's interesting. I mean, it could be regional because, like, my family, when they did a lot of this issues with dating the other men that weren't their husbands, they were in Philadelphia, and they didn't, it wasn't a colorism problem. It was a having a child by someone who wasn't your husband problem primarily, and they couldn't show up with a
Yeah,
child that didn't look
I'm
like
so
the expected
yeah,
the
I mean, yeah,
expected
like we've had
shape.
those issues in our family, but once you in the family, we love you. We don't care what you look like.
That's good.
Well, I'm gonna say Birmingham, Alabama, and Birmingham, color was important. The color gave you social capital, and I thought Louisiana was the same way. What part of Louisiana you
Yeah,
from?
it was. I mean, you go back to the Supreme Court decision of Plessy v. Ferguson. I'm a Louisiana Creole, and that's when we got our nigger wake up call. But yeah, I'm from New Orleans. I mean, my
Okay.
dad's from the Seventh Ward. That's my hand handle. My mama was from the Uptown, so I guess you can call that like 12th Ward. But yeah, be like, yeah,
Okay.
that is my personal experience.
Yeah, Birmingham, Alabama's really color struck. Well, it used to be. I haven't lived there in 10, 11 years, but shit, 12 years. But it's was real color struck, which made my childhood kind of piss poor because skin color was associated to social status. Like bring up the Angela Davis, the Davises, they were light, bright, and almost white, and they were considered leaders. Although I never figured out what her did. Maybe they were installed allegedly, but that skin color, people used to tell a light skin. I'd be in school with A.H. Parker, the black high school before I got transferred, and the teachers, maybe unconsciously, black teachers would look at light skinned people and say, "You're probably going to be a doctor. You're going to be a lawyer," and they would ignore
Yeah,
the
I mean,
darker
yeah, look,
ones.
I got a little bit of that. Kids would tease me because I'm light skinned, but I didn't, it didn't bother me. I mean, you take it, you grow up and whatever. So, I mean, it's all, that's like I said, that goes back to my family. We had all kinds of people in our family, so you just learn to deal with it and you go on about it. So some people handle it this way and some people handle it that way.
I guess I hear what you're saying, but that's not my point. My point is the greater society had higher expectations in Alabama and Birmingham
Yeah, I
particularly
apologize
had
for
higher.
misunderstanding you.
No, you're good, bro. No good, because what you're saying is very, don't get me wrong, what you're saying is very valid. You're making a good point. It's just we're kind of making different points. Maybe, bro, maybe I'm not being clear. My point is, in Birmingham, having light skin was associated with being upper class. Therefore, society had higher expectations. I remember some of my light skinned friends in Birmingham would get in trouble. A lot of them went to jail and shit. And I was just really lucky. But when they would get a sentence or something, I mean, the community would be just so disappointed. I expected more out of you, but they wouldn't say anything to the chocolate boys who got in trouble. Like, that's the way it's supposed to be. So I'm saying that to say that just basically skin color is important in certain areas. FBA, what you got?
My bad. I wanted to
You,
reply
you
to.
good?
I wanted to reply to. Was it Midwest?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, like it sounded like to me you were kind of using like the what's it called, the red pill, like the damn, what's that shit called?
The
The
manosphere.
dudes who go manosphere, manosphere.
I
Yeah, yeah,
I am red pilled. I wouldn't say manosphere or manosphere, but I am red pilled. But go ahead.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. That shit is detrimental to the damn community. That damn Dennis Sperling, that motherfucker teaches every damn nigga. Man, them black women better get you a Dominican. That nigga's too light skinned to be doing that shit. He's too light skinned to be doing that shit. The amalgamation of our race is a real problem. Reducing it down to your lower chakras or the sexual dating market, nigga, that is absolute racial treachery. You saying because there's other bitches out here, or I ain't gonna say bitches, other females out here that well, the black women gotta compete and all that. Dude, a lot of y'all, just being real, a lot of the people I see who listen to that, the person who I heard this Sperling from, it's a nigga who he was my roommate years ago. This nigga never brought a bitch home in the 2 years we lived together. Took bitches on dates, never brought a bitch home in the 2 years we lived together. So this is a man who is an incel. He don't get bitches, and that's who listens to that nigga. And and he's the one talking about I want a Latina. I want to. You don't get no bitches. You don't have time to specify. And it's the niggas who didn't go outside. It's the niggas who wouldn't socialize, wouldn't go to parties, were lame in school, uh, secretly resentful because they never really got or understood the culture and were always kind of on the fringes, and they never tried. You know, it's them. It's not the normal niggas we grew up with. The niggas in the hood, they ain't doing that shit. The niggas I went to school with, and they ain't doing that shit. It's the weird niggas doing that shit. That's what I'm noticing. All my friends, they all got black babies. All my friends. It's the weird niggas. I'm like, all your babies is mixed? Yeah, I can't deal with black women. No, nigga, you watch too much pornography. You've dedicated your life to recreating porn scenes. That's the problem.
Hmm.
That's the problem, homie. Uh,
And let's be real. It's easier talking to other races of women than talking to a black woman, because black women, have high expectations. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna come to a sister talking any type of way. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, hey, bro. Okay, wait. I gotta come back. FBA. All right, I guess I'm the weirdo.
Wait,
Who is Dennis Sperling? I never
I
listened to Dennis
listened to
Sperling.
him.
I
I
know you're
tried
talking
to
about.
debate him, and he always lost colossally because he kept. I was like, if you got, hold on. I said, if you guys like foreign women so much, and they gave the reasons why. They said because they are faithful and submissive. And I said, but they created the word baby mama, number one, and they are the biggest cheaters in the land. They're the biggest prostitutes. The whole damn island is a prostitute, and they don't mind shoving their little 12-year-old daughters over to the tourist area. So they are on record. Jamaicans go back and forth, number one with Nigerians on cheating. You can Google that. They are the biggest cheaters. So I'm not understanding this belief that they're submissive. What these guys, these passport boys are doing is that they are flying over to the Dominican Republic and flexing prostitutes on us. They're going to Asia and flexing
Right.
prostitutes. They're not bringing these women home to marry them as submissive people. And women are not, these foreign women are not submissive. They're just sneaky. If the Jamaican woman and the African woman are number one in cheating, how is that submissive? I mean, I don't understand. Then I went on to explain the levels of HIV and disease these people have. And then he didn't want to talk to me anymore because I have the data behind what I'm saying. I have the facts behind what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't go out and try some foreign pieces of tail. Do whatever you need to do. But don't try to flex trash on me because that's literal trash. Illiterate, you can't talk to these people. They don't know any reference to anything. They don't know what the hell you're talking about half the time. These people are not coming over here and being your doting wife. They're enterprising. And that includes some of these Asian women that have ended up on forensic files because they got over here and those white men thought they were going to do it. The other thing I told them is that you're late in the game. White men have been bringing home mail order brides. You're late to the party. And what do? Come over here, get mad, have problems, get ripped off. They take half of their money. They cheat with the Mexican gardener. It's all over the place. And everybody knows what they're about. They're not going to be submissive to you. They're going to start sniffing around and finding out that women aren't treated like that. And they're going to go on about their business with half of your money.
I think that foundational Black American women are just, or no, I'm not even gonna say women. I'm gonna say foundational Black Americans are honest to our detriment. We're very honest. We'll tell you the truth. You know what I'm saying? Whereas a lot of different groups of females will put on a show and like like you said, be sneaky. I have a my father took us out of the age Parker because it got real dangerous in Birmingham and put me in a very very white high school. I ended up graduating from. And in that white high school, I, got white colleagues now, and I kept up with them on Facebook and whatnot. And like damn near all of them got cheated on, and some of them stayed married. And what I'm trying to say is, in my view, at least from Alabama, Caucasian culture, getting cheated on as a husband is just kind of like normal. Oh, that's to be expected. It's not as big a deal as from my view as it is in foundational Black American culture.
That's
Cheating,
what I found myself. Go ahead and speak on that. I don't understand the acceptance of cheating. I thought that was like you cheated and that's the end of it.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Exactly what I was about to say. Whereas in the foundational Black American community, cheating is kind of like, oh, well, that's the end. That's the end of our relationship. You know what I'm saying? For a lot of different reasons. I mean, you don't want to, pick up some fucking mystery disease from your spouse. But this is very complicated. I'm finding this is like one of the most difficult rooms I've ever had because this is so complicated. Now, the topic for me is very simple. Interracial. Is there love in interracial relations? Nah, that's not where the love's at. To quote NBA YoungBoy. But the reason why Black men go to find other is very complicated. We have to be honest that we're looking at a
Can I
society that's
can I can I
that's pitting
can I attest?
Okay.
that's pitting
Finish the last.
a society that's pitting us against the Black female. They're what I'm trying to say is we're being propagandized against each other. Dr. Frances Quest Welsing kind of sums it up really well when she says, quote, the subsequent imbalance produced between money and power, the pseudo-social and family power of the Black female when compared to the Black male eventually leads to alienation between the two of them. Let's start right there. Um, what Dr. Wilson is saying is this system, the white male power system will give white Black women opportunities that it will not give to Black men, and it's doing that on purpose. It's creating an imbalance in power to disrupt the home. And a lot of our sisters don't see, from my experience, don't really see. So, although a lot of us do, but a lot of our sisters don't understand that the opportunity, and this is not 100%, but it's a lot. It's a good percentage that they don't see that the opportunities that's been given them, even though they worked their ass off of it for it, in a lot of cases was given to destroy the household. You know what I'm saying? So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that the white power structure will give financial opportunities to black women that it won't give to black men. And black men, and I'm gonna be fucking 100% brutally honest, just from the perspective of my black male colleagues, friends, and my students. A lot of black men in this system, in this America, feel like losers. Yes, even though we worked out, a lot of us, it's almost as if no matter what you do as a black male in America, you're not good enough. There's that type of propagandization, and you mix that in with um black females being propagandized as being the leader of the household, and what Dr. Welsing said, and it naturally makes black men look for somebody where a woman where they can feel like they're in some type of form of control, and in some type of male power leadership role, which society says you're not in that when you're with a black woman. With your black woman, she's the head of the household. Well, that sets up a trap, like Wani was saying, because black males will say, "Well, you know what? I'm gonna get a passport and I'm gonna go get this woman, or I'm gonna go cross the railroad track and get a white woman." And that is such a more fucked up situation than the situation you had with your sister, with our sisters. So all I'm trying to say in brief is this is warfare, is what we're looking at. Dr. Wilson further says this alienation, followed by separation or divorce, creates an imbalance that leads to now epidemic black sociopathologic syndrome, the so-called the so-called strong black female and weak black male, which is what I was just talking about. She says the fundamental cause of this syndrome is a white supremacy power system. Thank you, Dr. Wells. It has nothing to do with either one of us. Black woman, you're innocent. Black man, you're innocent. We're caught in a system we can't see. Dr. Wilson says also this system leads to black male womanizing syndrome. Hell, Dr. Wilson called that shit. That's niggas that go around having sex with to quote the late great Dick Gregory, trying to get their manhood out of in between the legs of a woman. You have friends, every black man's had friends, and I went through phases of that, trying to prove you a man by how many girls you can sleep with. That shit don't work. Dr. Wilson says, wearing black males seek to compensate for a loss of manhood by attempting to prove they're still men through the number of women they can seduce and conquer. But this syndrome only heightens the alienation between black male and female, and it fails to convince the black male of his manhood. Ladies and gentlemen, my foundational black American brothers and sisters, we need think tanks. We need to sit and think through this psychological warfare that's been prescribed on us. In law school, you learn about perfected systems. A perfected system is a system that's been literally been perfected. Like a good one is a security interest. Like when you get a mortgage on your car, it's perfected. How's it perfected? Well, they got money off you. You put money down on it, and you're paying monthly on your car with an interest rate. So they're making more than they paid for the car, right? But it's perfected because if you lose your job and can't pay for the car, they got it to where they can take the car back from you and resell the car, right? And resell it and then still charge you for the balance of the car. So that's a perfected system. It's fucking you both ways. That reason why I brought up that perfected security interest is because that's what's been done to black people. We're stuck in a perfected system that we can't understand. A system that wherein black women are offered opportunities that aren't offered to black men, and it's the think tank, the white think tank, has thought that okay, well the black man's gonna have a lot of sex to prove that he's a man, and that's gonna fucking alienate him from the black woman because she's gonna call him a dog. We need think tanks so we can think through solutions to fix this problem. Wanda, you're gonna say something?
But I think everybody already knows that they're trying to prove their manhood by sleeping with a lot of people, just like white men know they're trying to prove they have a large penis by having a gun or having a car, midlife crisis. I think we've already, they already know, but men won't stop doing what they're doing. But anyway,
It was worse when I was a child in the 90s and 2000s. Like, you had dudes, and I'm glad that Welsing identified it because really, until I read that book years ago, I didn't know what that was about. I went, I went through stages like that,
What's
but like
gonna
I know grown
what's
ass.
gonna stop them if AIDS won't stop them? And AIDS is very high over in foreign
Yeah.
countries, and people are flying over to foreign countries. Not just black men. They're the least of the ones flying over there. They're still flying over to these foreign countries, giving people AIDS and getting AIDS and just you know, making a fool out of themselves. But like I said, it is going to be for the intelligent person to get through the weeds. But like you were saying before, that this situation is really a form of escapism. Feeling like,
Yep.
hey, it's hard to be black. What if I just marry this white guy and go sink over into the suburbs, and then my life might, maybe that handful of people will be okay, and it's never worked for these people. I mean, I don't, every time someone does that, and I've had male friends whose sisters or someone in their family did it, and they do nothing but complain. The men and the women do nothing but complain after they do that escapism.
Yeah, because they'll never treat you equally. And I don't want to identify some of my family members, but you'll be at a white family function, and they'll put your black ass in the kitchen with an apron on. Hey, honey, can you cook? You psychologically get put in. Hell, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so-and-so's a nigger, and I done,
Wow.
man. Yeah. Like we dealing with something here.
So
Let's
these
see.
Yeah.
behaviors,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry about that. These
No, go ahead, baby.
behaviors contribute to white genetic survival, right? Isn't this like what Dr. Welsing said? She said
Hmm.
the destruction of black males is indirect so that the black male victims themselves can be led to participate in and then be blamed for their own mass deaths. That's like the
Right.
homosexual behavior and then what you and Wani were just talking about. So, isn't this more about white genetic survival and they don't even know that they are
That
participating in their own annihilation?
Yes, that's all it is. That's the denominator. That's why I'm saying it has nothing to do with us, and that's why I say we need think tanks. We need some type of mass counseling where we can tell our sisters, because the black men are aware of what's going on for the most part. Why? Because we're getting the shit end of the stick. We have no choice but to face the truth, and a lot of our black men are fucking tapping out and saying, "Fuck it, I'm gonna get me a white girl, or I'm gonna get me a Brazilian, or whatever." Or I'm gonna choose another lifestyle, and I'm seeing a lot of that lately. But but it's easy for anybody, not just because they're our sisters, but it's easy for anybody when you're presented an opportunity and you get a big job. It's easy for you to say, well, shit, I worked my ass off, especially when you have. Our sisters are not being given anything. They're having to score high test scores and have a perfect credit score to get these jobs. But from what I've seen with my own goddamn eyes on multiple occasions, from medical school, law school, jobs, up close, seen this shit. What happened on college admission board? What I've seen is you get a black male. Let's say the score to get accepted to this is 100. The highest score is 100, right? On the test. I've seen black males with a 4.0 and a 99 on the test, and a black female with a 3.2 and a 90 on the test, and an 89 on the test. And they picked the female over the black male. Case in point, I'm gonna talk about one of my homeboys that went to University of Alabama. He was black, from the country. Boy was a genius. Didn't drink alcohol. University of Alabama is one of the most, if not the most racist college on the fucking planet. Um, it has a history of that. I can almost prove that in court. This dude had a 4.0 at University of Alabama. He was the president of Student Government Association, and he was chocolate too. He wasn't light skinned. Um, President of his fraternity, got a perfect MCAT score. MCAT is a medical school admissions test. I don't know how he scored a perfect score. And he applied to University of Alabama Medical School because he wanted to be close to his girlfriend who he married and close to his mama. Well, University of Alabama waitlisted his ass and then turned around, waitlisted him for a year and then turn around and denied him. They did that on purpose. The reason why they did that is to waste a year of his life. Whereas a lot of black girls I knew that I was dating at the time that applied, they all got accepted to the medical school. So it these positions, these power positions in America are used as a weapon. So now you got these black females thinking that I'm the shit. I'm better than him. I'm better because they didn't see the numbers. They didn't see that the motherfucker had a better score than you. But they, because no, only reason I saw him because I had privileged access. But so that creates an ideology in the head of our sisters that, and nobody in here, of course, but we got to be 100% real. Some of our sisters just straight think they better than black dudes, and that's done intentionally, like Nikki said, to support the system of white supremacy. And basically, at the bottom line, is very simple. If black man and black woman don't get together, children will not be born. Over time, black population will decrease. That's what was thought of in the think tank. But we thinking, I got my job, child. I'm a district attorney, child. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even see what's going on, man. Um, the cheese, talk to me.
What's good? I don't know if I was first in line.
I think that says the
Yeah,
cheese.
100% correct. I'm the cheese. I think somebody was in front of me, but I'm gonna go ahead and go. I wanted
Is he
I
speaking?
wanted. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, he is speaking.
Oh, okay. I can't hear him.
Let me see if I can turn my phone up. Um, I travel out of the country at least maybe once, maybe twice a year. I've been to a few African countries. I've been to Ethiopia. I've been to Egypt. I've been to Togo. I've been Benin. Um,
Hey, cheese, do me a favor. Drop down and come back. I can't hear a word you saying.
Yeah,
that
we'll let you right back up, Chief.
see.
So I would love to hear what he has to say. I just want to quote something else real quick that to back up what I was saying before. Um,
Mm.
so I lost my spot. Okay. So in the collective white psyche, black males represent the greatest threat to white genetic survival because only males of any color have the greatest can impose sexual intercourse, and black males have the greatest genetic potential of all non-white males to cause white genetic annihilation. Thus, black males must be attacked and destroyed in a power system designed to assure white genetic survival.
Yep. So that system that Nikki was just talking about, it spreads propaganda that black men ain't shit. And it denies qualified black men from positions, even though they're the most qualified candidate. And on the flip side of the equation, it tells black female culture that you're the back. What do they say about our sisters? Strong black female, head of the household. It's spread. That's a weapon, is what it is. And a lot of our sisters don't see that that's a weapon. It's kind of complicated for me to explain, but it tells you that you're if it wasn't for you, it basically propagandas our sisters into thinking that men are not worth a goddamn thing. So I've seen it play out for years in my life, wherein our sisters are very highly selective over which black males they choose. I don't really agree with Kevin Samuels. I think he went too far and he had some abusive
You know,
qualities.
Dennis Sperling was Kevin Samuel's attorney. You know that, right?
Didn't know
Yes.
that. Didn't know it. But Kevin kind of touched on it. He went too far. I think Kevin had some like sadistic qualities. He would just embarrass our sisters. I hated to see it. But the general, well, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't give Kevin credit. It really is Dr. Shahrazad Ali. Basically, her premise was touching on it. But I wish we could have some type of come together moment where we say, "Hey, sisters, we love you. You're very qualified. Y'all are the best. But this system is making you think that I ain't shit." When I'm like putting out so much more work. Let's look at me for instance. I'm from the fucking slum of Birmingham. Somehow got through high school without getting killed or arrested. Um, um, Went to college on full scholarship. Somehow graduated. Went straight to law school. After that was over, went to grad school. Like, okay, I rent. I don't own shit. I don't own a house. Now let's look at the white boys I went to high school with. 100 out of 100% of those white boys. Well, no, no, no. 80% of those white boys did not get a college degree. They dropped out of college or never went. and 100% of them own a home, and 75% of those homes are fucking palatial, just fucking mansions. How in the fuck did you get that mansion? You know what I'm
$10
saying?
billion
That's the
dollars worth
system
of
we living in.
whiteness.
Who was talking
That's what
before
I'm
me?
saying.
Right. And they
Talking
all
about.
Bootstraps,
Hold
bootstraps.
they
on.
They
all
worked
seem
hard.
to. I get what exactly what you're saying, Professor,
Uh,
because I've worked with people like this, and they all had a lake house. They all.
Yeah,
I guess a
yeah.
lot of them is handed down,
what
but
was the guy that was speaking before we
oh,
got
Oh,
geez.
cheese,
down?
Wani. Come on, cheese. I'm sorry, I
God,
didn't hear you
everybody
speaking,
got
so I forgot.
triggered and just
It's,
forgot.
no, it's all good.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry,
Wani.
brother.
I'm sorry about that, Wani.
No,
I told y'all this space is triggering me.
it's all to the good. We having a good conversation.
Relax.
I wanted to. Can you hear me now, Professor?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I
All
hear
right,
you,
sound
brother.
good. So I wanted to say, I was saying that I traveled to different countries. I've been to African countries. I've been to South American countries. Well, the Caribbeans rather. I've been to Cuba, Togo, Benin, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Mexico so far. And I travel. I try to travel as much as I can. When time and money permits it. From my perspective, in reference to like foreign women, um, Black American, I don't speak on no other race of people for the most part. Uh, you got a couple of different kinds of people. Um, you got uh fools and you got niggas who know the game. And typically, any man going across the seas, specifically in like these South American countries, Asian countries, looking for quote unquote love, you was a damn fool. You was a goddamn fool. Like, um, I
Hmm.
think that in reference to love and relations, when it come down to foreign women and black women specifically, or even white women for that matter, most other races on the front end are going to be really really good and sweet on black men on the front end, right? And black women on
Right,
the front end are going to be kind of hard, a little bit coarse on the front end. But the difference is
right,
on the back end, black women gonna have your back. Black women gonna be on point, and they gonna understand pretty much your struggle. On the back end, most foreign and white women are gonna be the ones that cut your goddamn throat and you sleep. You know what I'm saying? Those gonna be the ones that you got to watch out for. Um, I don't. I typically don't. I don't subscribe to like dealing with other women outside of Black American, outside of just sex, if anything. But because my philosophy is this: they good to have fun with, but not necessarily procreate. Because from my perspective, when you intermingle with other cultures outside, let's say our only exception I might have of that is like maybe African cultures, right? Or a person who has their mind right in that regard. But for the most part, because they're not Black American, but typically, if you look at the transatlantic slave trade, which really is not that small, tiny little minute percent of that. You kind of they not kinfolk, but they skinfolk, whatever you want to say. Typically, that's the only exception I make on some Umar shit. But for the most part, um, you you really can't go wrong with just dealing with your own kind, man. These other races of people, they just man, they're tripping to have, bro. Like like I said, I have fun with them, but I don't procreate. Well, what I was saying is that most of the time when you're dealing with other races of people, in order to uh, in order to get acclimated to their culture, you have to practice a certain level of self hate, which is fucked up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the biggest
Sure.
problem I see it. You can't you can't say. I give you a perfect example. My brother, my younger brother, um, he married a Hispanic girl, and she speaks no English. And I love my brother to death, man. I do anything for him. But we just disagree completely on, culture. He believes that Black American culture is, how do I say, destructive and not as, not as good as other cultures. He speaks Spanish and so on and so forth. And the reality is that, you know, you had to change or you had to change yourself and you had to do something in order to kind of like fit into their culture. but they want to be us. So
Which
I never
culture
understood that.
can you say? Which Spanish culture? Because they're not Spanish, they're wetbacks.
Oh my God.
So, which
Nah,
Spanish culture is he or is your brother in love with?
no,
I need, I need to
she's not
hear
a
this.
wetback.
I need to
She
hear
ain't.
this. What Spanish culture is your brother altering his life to become a part of? Which one is it?
She's from where's she from? She
And what did
from
they accomplish? Absolutely nothing.
well, that's not
But
even
you,
I
not
didn't
even a
even name
question.
what it is. I didn't even get the country, did I?
Nah, not at all. That's not even
You
a
know,
question. I'm not even speaking on that. It's more so like
but I'm
they
just
didn't
asking. This is just
uh
for the room's
sh-
knowledge.
she's from you call her a wetback. It's crazy. I think of wetback, I think of Mexican instantly, but she's from
Same thing.
what is it? Medellin, Colombia. She's from Colombia. There you go.
What
Colombia.
have
Colombia.
Colombians done?
Bro, yesterday, I think
Hold
it was
on. She
yesterday.
said something. What Colombia's done? Hold on. Let's not go
What
there.
have what?
Colombians,
Why not?
listen.
What have people
Colombians.
from
Hey, you
Colombia
walked into
Hold on, hold on,
accomplished?
hold on.
Columbia has chop up
Listen.
houses where
hey, dude, don't come in these spaces and you're sensitive because these
Columbia has
spaces ain't
chop
for the
up
sensitive.
houses where they're chopping up
Yeah.
the Afro
How's he talking through a
Colombians.
mute?
Say that
Yeah, yeah,
again.
yeah. This is. Did he run
I
away?
don't
Oh
know.
no,
I'm
no.
trying to get some information.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. Don't get in your feelings, bro. We're identifying the issue to solve it. That's all. This is not personal. And what Wani says is, kind of correct. Like what she's asking is, what has Colombia done? What are the accomplishments
Yeah,
in
what are they
Colombia?
known
Don't.
for? What is a Colombian person known for? Huh?
I think it's still muted.
What is a
So
Colombian person known for?
I wasn't in my feelings. I was trying to make a joke, and then y'all kind of went crazy. But I was
I'm,
gonna say
go ahead, bro.
they make the finest the finest cocaine that you can snort in your nose.
mhm.
But you know,
Oh
Besides
shit.
y'all,
getting everyone high because they got
yeah,
a free product because they have no talent but to chew on coca leaves. A buffoon could do that. A goddamn monkey could have worked that out.
nah,
A
niggas don't make
goddamn
cocaine
monkey,
like
a
Colombians. Let's not go
goddamn
there.
monkey could have worked that out. Let me chew on this. Oh, I'm active now. I'm up in a tree all of a sudden.
Nah, you got
What
to give credit
else?
where credit is
What
due.
else? That
Colombians
is
may
a
make some good
credit. Chewing
cocaine
on
now.
coca leaves and
Getting
running up a
off topic.
tree.
Hey,
What? Well, if I may interject, I think it's really interesting. We missed the opportunity to examine, all due respect to your brother, what I'm saying? Family is very important. I'm not going to insult anybody's family. I don't want you to insult mine. And thank you for being honest and telling us about your brother. But when you said that, I thought about Tariq's space yesterday, and I'm paraphrasing Tariq, but Tariq said something like, the moment niggas get a little exotic poon, they start, what he say? They say, oh man, crime in the black neighborhood. Niggas need to pull up their pants. You reminded me of that when you talked about your brother. Like he started hating on. He got a little taste of that thing, and then he started seeing how turning on his own community. But what I want to identify, and maybe I need to think of a more less complicated way to explain this to people, is that was the original attack on Black Power was inviting the race mixing and inviting black men to get exotic sex and inviting and allowing Asian men to have sex with our sisters. I think if we can identify that and change that little fracture, oh my God, we would revolutionize this motherfucker because
so
we would deny access. The problem we have in our communities, ladies and gentlemen, is from within, and it's from traitors from within because outsiders cannot attack us. No way. It's always somebody behind the scenes inviting the enemy in. We can get real deep with that, but I'm gonna go to Little Hawk. He had his hand up earlier, and then Seventh Ward.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I recognize the same pattern in my neighborhood. Of course, I'm from California. California is a this is a stronghold for.
Somebody speaking?
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah,
you.
somebody speaking, bro. Drop down and come back. I can hear you though.
Drop down, come back.
Not you,
Not
not
you,
you.
the person who can't hear you.
Okay, well, anyway, California is a stronghold for undercover white supremacy. They like to believe that they're for us and that they do things that are going to help us, but they really are here to sabotage and undermine us. And what's happening with the women is what you were mentioning earlier. And Dr. Franz Kress, well, I mean, because these women, they don't know nothing about these people. So our problem as men is when we start seeing these niggas get to going over here to other countries and start to do that. No, form a coalition right here, brother. This is our problem, is the fact that these motherfuckers will group up, but we will not. And they also have a what do they got? They have a system that, and it's like get out. I promise you. Y'all don't even understand the system that they got. But when these black brothers and sisters start to vibe with each other or start to get on code, they will come in and try to disrupt that energy, and they will try to pit them apart. And so this is working on behalf of them because we have these traitorous men who are just ascerbating the situation by talking about or going for the other and these are the men that these
I
these are the men that are
well,
causing this issue.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna call them traitors. And let me get something straight. I'm not dissing our brothers or our sisters, but what I'm gonna say is they're playing into a system. I got feedback on your thing. They're playing into a system that they don't understand. What we need is education, because what's going on is our brothers, for the most part, don't completely understand what they're in, and they're looking for ways to compensate, which is backfiring. And our sisters don't understand what they're in, and they're thinking, you know what I'm saying, being celebratory over getting that big job, when that job was used to destroy, or that career, that degree was used, was
Yes,
given.
okay, but
I'm not gonna say given.
okay, now I understand where you what you're talking about with that. But so once you recognize and spot that as an issue and as a problem, because this happened to my little brother, and it also happened to my little sister. I mean, they kind of like damn near already then wiped my whole family with this shit, and it's the brainwashing and the programming because they own the media. But okay, so I'm talking to my
Yep.
little brother, right? And this dumb ass fool, of course, he's in a white girl. Okay, back in the day, I was in a white girl too. You know what I'm saying? So we was young, we didn't know, but this motherfucker, oh no, this became his reality to a point to his own detriment. And so he became confused. He dibbled and dabbled, and a lot of people think that he was a little shaky and that he might be on the other side, but he accidentally had got this Asian girl pregnant, had a baby, bitch crazy, put him on child support, and just did all kind of backstabbing ass shit for him. But if you had to slowed your ass down, it wouldn't have been so much against black women. He would be against black women for no reason, saying stupid shit like using white supremacist talking points like saying they loud and ghetto. Like, nigga, that's the oldest trick in the book, because not all of them is like that, you dumb fool ass nigga. And we got a lot of these niggas that has that ignorant ass mindset. So what we need to do is form this coalition of them. Because, look, I'm going to tell you something. Ain't no defeating this, and unless you can come with power in numbers. Ain't no other way. And I'm,
Yeah, yeah. It's we need our own media. We need our own. I don't see X lasting much longer. You know what I'm saying? I can't see this being like a longevity because it's too powerful. Like, I got feedback. I'm gonna mute you right quick, bro. Yeah, I don't see, because it's too powerful. Something's got to happen with X because it's empowering us too much. But back to the point, we need our own media, because the brother brought up a really good point. He said they own the media. The media machine is feeding these stereotypes. Well, the thing about the quote unquote loud black woman or loud black man, In some cases that's true, even with me, you know what I'm saying, but we're reacting to stressors. I listen to Billy Carson, who I like to follow. Billy Carson a couple days ago said we're dealing with acoustic records. We're not even 200 years out of slavery. Maybe we're loud and rambunctious and anxious because we're dealing with those ancestral memories of slavery. We're dealing with a lot, and everybody just told us to fucking get over it. So it's so many different things we're dealing with that make black male and female relationships that much more difficult. What I've noticed, and those of you who don't know me, I'm married to a foundational black American female. My marriage is not easy. It's not easy because we're both professionals, and she's dealing with shit on her job, and we don't have, the word is bandwidth. When we're together, there's no bandwidth. Like it's hard for me to be a shoulder to lean on, really, because I'm dealing with white supremacy on my job. Like, I'm looking for another job right now. This is my first year at a PWI, and the money's great, but like, I just, imagine what I'm dealing with. You know what I'm
Okay, but can
saying?
can I?
I
I'm sorry. Can I say something to that because you just hit on a point. And what
Go ahead.
what circumvents that and alleviates that? Because back in the day, we used to have family reunions and we used to be a lot more together. What circumvents that is us being able to get together, get on call, talk about problems and solutions in which we can work toward defeating. These niggas are very much been programmed into being antisocial with them to each other, to the point that it is our own detriment. We are feeding the system of white supremacy, and we are also feeding the illegal immigrants our culture, while at the same time they're backstabbing us because there's no family. Now, what circumvents that is this camaraderie of family. You got your boys, she got her girls. Come on, that's what it's about. You see it with them all the time. But you
Well, I'm not gonna disagree with anything you just said, but I am gonna give you some a perspective on that. What You're right. Family is what healed us back in the 60s and 70s at one of our most powerful points. But as Bobby Hemmett identified, a whole fucking government system called COINTELPRO went into the systematic destruction of our family, which is my main point. We're dealing with warfare on a fucking government level. We're dealing with trillions of goddamn dollars fucking with us, man. Well, let me prove it. Bobby Hemmett said we dealt, according to Bobby Hemmett, I'm paraphrasing him, we dealt with more, a higher magnitude of racial uh, agitation during the 60s, just because it was the 60s and they could like fucking kill us and stuff. Although we had our own, people on the street handling business, they could do more to us than they could do now because now they're in the public eye. Well, Bobby Hemmett said basically the government, a three-letter agency, did studies to find out how in the fuck black people are healing after we just sick dogs on them. Let me talk about them dogs. I'm from Birmingham. They used to put gold teeth in the dog's mouth. The German Shepherds had gold teeth to scare the children. So how were they healing? Well, Bobby posited that they we were going home and we were healing from the music. Think of the music from the 1960s. You know what I'm saying? Our music was about love. And Bobby Hemmett took it a step further. He said your inner ear has like access to melanin, and he said that basically melanin is carbon. So he said we would go home and put on a record. Now, a record is burnt down plastic, burnt down till it gets black. Black is significant, is symbolic of carbon content. So you had a carbon record playing, and what was touching that record? A diamond. Those record players, diamond on the tip. What's a diamond? A diamond is 100% pure carbon. So Bobby Hemmett posited that we had carbon on carbon creating a pure frequency of love going into our inner ear and healing us when we went home and had us a little something to drink, got with our wife because she was in the house, kissed our daughter on the forehead and tucked her in and just sit, went to bed listening to what's going on while we making another child. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the government took note of that and strategically reverse that process. This shit's diabolical, dog. Listen to this. How'd they reverse it? Number one, they changed the narrative of love to hate. I was a child when that shit happened. I remember when Dr. Dre dropped. And it goes a little deeper than that. The process, and I'm about to get real deep on y'all, metaphysical. So when you go back to the original story of creation on Shabaka stone, which the Holy Bible plagiarized in Genesis, it says let there be light. In the Shabaka stone in Egypt, I have it tattooed on my friggin' arm. It's the creator says in the begin, ooh, I get chills thinking about it. He said in the beginning, let me look him on. He said in the beginning, when speech was created, I existed alone, the universe belonged to me. Basically, the creator sat around in absolute darkness. Those of you who were in my space a couple weeks ago, or a couple days ago, I showed you that the higher the temperature gets, the darker the light gets. Like the 550 Kelvin, 5,500 Kelvin is sunlight. When you get 7,000 Kelvin, you get blue like BMW headlights. But when you get in 12,000, 14,000, it starts getting darker and darker and darker and darker. And darker. So the most powerful thing in the universe is a blackness that you can't comprehend. The creator was sitting in darkness. So why am I saying that? I'm saying that according to physics, according to the creator of the everything, of the all, as Maya Angelou used to say, um, the natural process is out of darkness comes light. You got it? So that there's a frame of thought that thought is light. So back to Bobby Hemmett, that dark melanin record with that 100% carbon diamond producing a frequency. That's the natural order of things. That frequency of love goes in your head. A Minnie Riperton loving you, that's going in your head and it's producing light. Out of darkness comes light. That's a natural order of things as mandated by Creator. So the government, and hear this real clearly, reverse that process. When we were coming up, we didn't have record players. We had CDs. How does a CD create sound? It uses a laser. Ladies and gentlemen, a laser is light. It's using light to create sound. That's a reverse process. That's an attack. Match that up with songs that's talking about killing and all that. They destroyed our cohesiveness. Last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to shut my mouth. Not only was our music attacked by COINTELPRO, our neighborhoods were. I came from a broken home. My parents did their best, but they were fucked up. But I do remember in the hood, what do we have in Birmingham? And my grandmama, I kind of grew up in DC too. My grandmama was in DC. What I saw in DC and in Birmingham was old black folks in the neighborhood. We had houses. We were in somebody's house. And there was old black people, old grandmamas and granddaddies that would say, boy, bring your ass over here. Let me tell you how to do this. I don't see that anymore. That was systematically targeted through gentrification. In conclusion, what I'm saying, Brother Lil Hawk, is everything that was making us strong, everything that was giving us refuge was systematically targeted by a $1 trillion government system.
Right, and so our counterbalance to that back in the day, cause we didn't have nothing in them in them '60s and all of that. But what did they form? They formed them Black Power movement. Them movements got strong. Them movements, you know what I'm saying? And so, but consequence to that is them actually taking the money, and because what we've allowed is we've allowed. It's just like when you knock a motherfucker down and you allowed your enemy to get up, regain his consciousness, and recock his goddamn weapon. And they just keep coming back bigger and stronger because what they'll do is serve us this little bitty ass antidote, which ain't nothing but But I like what he said best, because a lot of us think that we have black consciousness and we think that we have look. You running your black conscious program on a white supremacist system, it's never going to work. It was because you got to escape from all of that. You have to remove yourself from all of that. And that's what's hard because uh they haven't went through enough. They're giving them, but what's happening is what they recognize is, because we allow them to regain consciousness, is they're doing this inch by inch, slowly but surely, one
Well,
law at
I'm
a
gonna stop you
time,
right there. I'm gonna stop you
go
right
ahead.
there and say before we I'm not gonna disagree with you, but we need our own think tanks, like I said earlier, and our think tanks cannot be discussed on public venue like Twitter. But you made some good points though. 7-4, what's on your mind?
Yeah, thanks, man. Look, yeah, I've been listen to what you're saying. Yeah, like how you deal with FBA spouse and her frustrations, and you just gotta, you hear it, and you just gotta be the man and take it in, because she needs that relief. I get that, and you were also talking about like how you like how your white classmates, like, they didn't work as hard as you, they didn't have to deal with the struggles you had, and they were getting all the benefits and everything. And we, as black men, we work hard, and we're dealing with most of this nonsense, this bullshit, I'm gonna just say it. And what are we going to do? So, these white people, they fear genetics. They fear genetic annihilation, and the only way we are going to get them to surrender what they stole from us is if we get them to fear genetic annihilation. Now, what form is that going to take? I'll leave that to your imagination. But until they start fearing that not only their lives, but their but their children's lives and down forth, fear that they're going to be annihilated if they don't give back what belongs to us, then I don't think we're going uh to have the success that that we are given by God to have. And we need to start considering that. And with that, I yield the mic.
Well, I'm gonna say first and foremost that I'm nonviolent, but I am a realist. And if you look back, what we need to do, we need think tanks. We need think tanks that's off these damn apps.
We've won
And
all
in
the
in
intellectual arguments.
well, no, well, my point is
Hello.
in the think tanks that we develop, we need to look back at history and do analysis of what worked.
Nat
And
Turner.
like our brother, well, yeah, but what our brother Tariq helped us to understand is it was a combination, both and. So you had your Dr. Kings, you had your um, intellectuals, but you also had people who are unsung in the street handling business. So,
Let's talk to them.
uh, well. First off, and you come on my space, we're gonna be realer than a motherfucker. What you have to ask yourself historically, what happened to our connection with our brothers and sisters in the streets? Well,
I give you that.
a lot a lot of our college class, academic class, were taught that they were better than the brothers and sisters in the streets. A fissure or a crack was created between the quote unquote upper class Negro and the brothers and sisters in the street. When I was a little boy, my aunt June, she raised me. She was a nurse practitioner. She would always, I said this story before, she would come pick me up in her brand new Benz, E-Class jet black on black Benz, and she would drive me to the hood where we were from, and we would get some chicken, get some church's chicken and a pepper, and she would pull up and give money to the people on the street in the hood. There's the homeless man or whatnot, and we just pull up in the alley and just start talking, and she'd be preaching, man, and she told me, she said, baby, she said segregation fucked us up. I thought she was crazy for saying. I said, how so? She said back in the day, she pointed up the hill, Center Street, no, the hill at Angela Davis' house. She said back in the day when we was in the projects, she said we would walk out and we would see the hooker and the junkie on the street and the pimp on the street, and that was okay.
Because we
She
wanted
said, but
acceptance and not independence.
well, she pointed at Angela Davis' house and she said, but when we were walking to school, we could look up the hill and see the black lawyer, the Davises, and the black nurses and doctors and school teachers. And she said that right there created a choice that we could either be a junkie, a prostitute, or if we wanted to, we could be a doctor, a nurse, or a lawyer. And she said when segregation happened, when integration, I'm sorry, I said segregation, I meant integration. She said when integration happened, every black person with money ran away from us. you know.
They
So
escaped niggerdom.
that's the first thing that needs to change. The black professional class needs to take our ass back to the hood. And I think the dominant society is trying to beat us to that by raising the prices and gentrifying. They know that's the solution. Let me tell y'all
We're in
some deep
survival
ass shit.
mode.
Let me tell y'all some deep shit. If you ever want to know what you're supposed to do in this war, look at what the enemy is telling you you're not supposed to do. What do you mean by that, Professor? Critical race theory. Look at what that means. It's bullshit, but look at what it basically says. Don't teach real black history. Please don't teach real black history. So guess what? That means teach real black history. And gentrification. We're taking over black neighborhoods. That means we need to take over black neighborhoods. And I blame us for that shit. Because I got so many of my black foundational black American friends who when grandmama died, they got the house and they sold that shit right away. How about our college graduates, our professional school graduates, don't get a house around the white folk and go right back to the hood? You know how powerful that would be? We
Yeah,
need to take
look,
our hood back
yeah,
over.
look, and I don't, and I'll yield the mic on this. Look, like I said, my handle is Seth Seven Ward. That was my dad's neighborhood. He grew up in Treme, the
Mm.
oldest black neighborhood in the country, and they basically okay. So the first thing they did to mess up that neighborhood is they built a I-10 overpass. They
Yep.
tore up the neutral grounds, and that was full of beautiful live oak trees, and they put that I-10 overpass. And so there's been debate of whether or not they're going to tear it down. But
Wow.
that's the but white people have been moving in and to gentrify it. That's the oldest black neighborhood in America. So yeah, gentrification is a form of genocide.
But
Yeah.
I want to say this though, because most of what is happening, and especially at in 2024 at the level that we are at today with professionalism and education, let me tell you this, and there's no denying this at all. Were we talking about our black professional class needs to bring us back to the hood? Oh no. What's deep about this is that they have sold us downright out. And let me tell you something.
Oh
I
yes, they
They
agree.
failed. Yes.
they sold us out. And let me tell you something. They talk that good nigga shit in front of our face, but in behind our back they with these white folks tearing us down. What them motherfucker liable to say nigger before the white man do. I'm telling you, these boule, you done went to these damn professional schools and you done pledged over here to another white god that's outside of the white god you already worship. All that shit is bullshit. What we need is military. Get ready, because the reckoning is coming into a head. And so for all this academic shit, no, they've already sold out. They're laying they shit on the line of where they gonna stand, and they stand with Kamala Harris instead of the black grassroots community. So that's all it
I
is.
stand with the roots.
Well, I say all of the academic class has not sold you out. There are people like me up there fighting. I'm not alone. But what was happening to us in higher education and in secondary ed is we're targeted and kicked out. So I think it's both and we're gonna need a high and low. We're gonna need the educated class and the blue collar class walking, and the brothers on the street. We need to be walking lockstep like we did in the 60s. True Stacia, talk to us.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that what you were saying about desegregation or integration, um, how that um, basically led to the breakdown of our communities and created like this classism among us. Back in the day, yeah, the doctors, the nurses, the plumbers, electric, blue collar, white collar. If you were black, you all lived like in the same area.
Right.
Personally, I grew up middle class, but no matter what, we always went back to the hood. When it was time to go to church, we went back to the hood. That's where the church was at. When it was time to get haircuts or go to the salon, That was in the hood too. And even certain foods, like if we wanted oxtails or whatever my mom was making, we had to go to the grocery store in the hood. But eventually, all those services also ended up um, out um, closer in other areas to where people just stopped
Mhm.
going back to the hood altogether. Um, Including church too, because a lot of these churches, they want to, especially like the age of this prosperity gospel where you have these huge churches, these mega churches, they aren't really in the hood anymore.
Right,
um
right.
and so,
The-
as far as trying to get people to go back or move back at this point with gentrification, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I know in certain areas that would still be possible, but I mean, the window is definitely closing, especially with this
it's closing
yes,
fast.
especially
Yes.
with like immigration. People who own, because a lot of the homes, even in the hood where I live, a lot of the homes aren't owned by black people. They're owned by white people and are rented by black people. Um, and there's a lot of even gentrification going on here. So we definitely do need to come together, and people need to stop looking down on, class or whether someone's blue collar or whatever. Because at the end of the day, we're all we have, and I'll land there.
Yeah, I remember in the 90s, I would my dad would put me and my little sister on a train and send us to spend the summers, spend summers in DC. And in the 90s, DC, Washington DC was black, like Memphis black. And in DC, my grandmother lived on in Southeast DC off Benning Road. Those of you know DC. Well, anyway, I got emotional thinking about that. But in grandma's neighborhood, like she said, everything was there. Like you had the little strip with the black dentist, the black lawyer. You had the little black restaurant. You had the black corner store. Um, we were stronger when we had that type of unity. Can we bring it back? I would like to think it was possible for us to bring it back. R7 Ward.
Yeah, we're talking about the immigration issue. Excuse me, I was eating. But so, what's the solution to this immigration issue about how we got all these people in here? How do we get them out? The Immigration Act of 1965 was probably the biggest mistake this country's made other than slavery because it killed all progress this country. I mean, all the progress we black people made in this country. We were making great progress until the Immigration Act of 1965. So how do we reverse the mistake of that law? The only way I see we can do it is with a capitation tax. If you read the Constitution, Section 1, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 4 says you can have a capitation tax if you tie it to the census. So, what I think we need to do is we need to fight for a law that says if you can't prove ancestry to the 1970 census, you have to pay a onerous capitation tax. In other words, you have to pay to remain in this country. And if you don't pay that tax, you can leave this country and don't have to pay it. So that's how I think we can get the immigrants out of here who think they are protected by the 14th Amendment, which guarantees them birthright citizenship. And if you read the 14th Amendment, it doesn't guarantee birthright citizenship because if you don't have legal reason to be here in the first place, you're not guaranteed a citizenship. So the way we get them out of here, we tax these motherfuckers out of here. With that, I yield the mic.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm agree with you, but that ties into the academic class. We're gonna need we need more black attorneys, and we need to put more black people. We need to put our own people in office. What the spaces has helped me realize, even though I do this type of stuff for a living, sometimes you can be so close. It's an old saying: the best place to hide something from you is right in front of your face. Before I got on Spaces, y'all, do y'all know I did not even realize that a lot of our elected officials are not even FBA. Well, number one, I didn't know what FBA was,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize that they weren't us. You know what I'm saying? I had just started studying law at Georgetown University in DC. And I got mentored by Marion. I don't talk about this much, but I did get mentored briefly by Marion Barry. And I went with Marion to a Congressional Black Caucus meeting downtown DC. And this is in 2007. And Ray Nagin was there. He was a mayor of New Orleans. This was not long after Katrina, and Ray was talking about how he was like freaking out on the stand. He was like, "Y'all," he's like, "Lawyers, I need your help. Y'all tell me what to do." He said they're taking New Orleans. Basically, Ray was talking about that when Katrina happened, the white power structure basically through eminent domain took a lot of the black neighborhoods. And I don't know New Orleans. I love New Orleans, but I
I
don't know
know
it like
him.
that. Yeah, but he said that they took a bunch of neighborhoods under eminent domain, given the fact it was an emergency or something, and he was saying we need help. So fast
He
forward
rode in
years
on a
later, I went.
white horse.
Yeah, I don't know him that well. I know he went and did some time. He may still be in jail, but anyway, like when I next time I went to New Orleans after that, the neighborhoods that I used to roll through that were black weren't black anymore. So, point of me bringing that diatribe up is we need foundational Black Americans in all levels of government, and we need to start creating. What we really need to do is start creating some type of programs that we fund to put our little boys and girls in law school. We need to pay for it, because what happens with the study of law is when you get out of law school, you have so many student loans. Like, I'm not even going to talk about my student loan, but you're so in debt that you need to get a high paying job to pay off your loan. So who's paying? The corporate sector, the sectors that are against our communities. So if we could create some type of community scholarship to send our boys and girls to law school, um, and maybe have them sign a contract. How about if I pay for your law school tuition? If the neighborhood pays your whole law school tuition, you owe us 10 years of community service once you're done, once you pass the bar. Because we need attorneys fighting on our behalf. A lot of attorneys out here acting scared. I don't know what's going on with the legal sector in the Black American community, but I'm telling you, as a scholar, I've looked through a lot of different things, and in my pro se opinion, like the brother brought up with the 14th Amendment, in my pro se opinion, I think that we would have a good argument to get some things reversed and changed. You know what I'm saying? But back to the immigration issue. Dr. Claude Anderson says, as a matter of fact, quote, as a matter of fact, ethnic and racial immigrants historically have been a wedge between whites and blacks, giving whites an alternative to interacting with blacks. Each time in history, after or before a war, when the American economy was expanding and could have offered material economic benefits to blacks, a new influx of immigrants or refugees arrived to fill the void, further exile blacks from fruitful participation in the national life, according to historian Dan Lacey. A major myth is that there have been competition between blacks and ethnic groups. Y'all hear this real well. There, quote, there has been no such competition. European ethnics simply bumped blacks from whatever they were interested in getting because they were higher in the order of social preference. After they finished competing for jobs, housing, or union control, blacks then applied for anything that was available. If racial customs did not exclude blacks, they optimistically waited until the jobs or housing were passed down through the ethnic hierarchy, extending from English down to other. So, Dr. Claude Anderson said basically in that paragraph, Dr. Anderson was identifying how immigrants are used by the system of white supremacy to keep us from getting what we need to get. So we need to keep that in mind too.
Yeah, the well, I hate to say this, but is it, if the reckoning, I mean, if this shit don't, either it's gonna crack off or we going down the toilet, because I believe that for many intensive purposes, it's far too late. They have way too many illegal immigrants over here, and the programming and the brainwashing is on another level. But the fact that these illegal immigrants who are in these powerful positions that serve as our representatives, who are representing, like who's supposed to be our black lawyer, Ben Crump. He over here shielding for Kamala Harris. So that means that's a sock puppet. Whatever they got on him, boot, aka whatever, I don't know, whatever that man plays to. But these people are being indoctrinated. And so what happened is Puffy started talking about this way too late. But you deviant sicko, you should have used your power and influence, but he didn't. Anyway, what he did was help these elite racists diversify their portfolio. And what I mean by diversify their portfolio, he allowed for, because black people follow black people, and he's an FBA. So what he allowed is he sold the hearts and minds to these people. Now they believe that they have the rights, that they own you. These are colonizers. They don't know anything different but to plunder and pillage wherever they go. They have no other. This is within the code of their DNA. So what he did was diversify their portfolio, and we help these people diversify and include every ethnic group. So we are not even at the behest to control anything. The only thing that we can rely on right now is the same old white supremacist that got us in this position in the first place. And that's Donald Trump. No other political candidate who was owned by their donors are talking about getting rid of illegal immigrants. And I don't even think he'll do it to the degree at which he's promoting. And so this is such a problem, is that we are the constituents of people that are representing their countries and also representing white supremacy. This is a problem. And so these niggas are all indoctrinated. They believe they don't even know what you just said, that you didn't know that these people were tethers. Well, even if we thought they was tethers back in the day, we was like, oh, we all black. And that's what they want to get with Kamala. So this is their indoctrination program. And it's all in television shows, media, when you watch commercials or whatever. The average person doesn't stand a chance against this type of fifth generational warfare. Um,
What concerns me as a historian is history is the best predictor of future. We all know this. If you've had a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, you know that what people usually used to do is, if she's staying out all night and she used to like to drink, she ain't did it in a couple years, and then she stay out all night. It's fair to assume, oh Lord, she with her girlfriends again. I guess she gonna come home drunk, right? So looking back at the history of foundational Black Americans, when shit gets out of hand, there's a certain pattern that would emerge. Let's look at Dr. Howard Zinn's A People History of the United States in his chapter called Slavery Without Submission, Emancipation Without Freedom. I like that title. Dr. Howard Zinn says quote, the United States government's support of slavery was based on an overpowering practicality. He says in 1790, 1,000 tons of cotton were being produced every year in the South. By 1860, it was 1,000,000 tons. In the same period, 500,000 slaves grew to 4 million, a system harried by slave rebellion and conspiracies. So what happened is we got in 1800, we got so sick of being enslaved that rebellions kept popping up that you've never heard of, that most of you never heard of. In 1800, an engineer named Gabriel Prosser. Stop right there. Yes, I said an engineer. What so many things are not told, and maybe that's my purpose on earth, is to tell our children and tell my brothers and sisters what really happened. During slavery, do y'all know we had fucking professions? Engineers and shit enslaved. Gabriel Prosser was an engineer. Um, he had enough, and he said, you know what? we're going to stage a coup against these white supremacists. So Gabriel Prosser got together with his homeboys and planned a strike on the white supremacists. Only one problem: somebody snitched on them, and Gabriel lost his ended up losing his life in 1800. Well, news of that got out, and in 1822, Denmark Vesey, another enslaved man, said, "You know what? I'm gonna do it right," and he started to meticulously plan a coup against the white supremacists. That's 22 years later. Same thing happened under meritorious manumission. Somebody snitched on him, right, and had his situation debunked. I mean, not debunked. Got it. Had it dismantled is what I meant to say, and had him hung. Well, the in 1831, just 10 years later, Nat Turner learned from that situation, and Nat Turner held a slave coup that the history reports killed 51 people. I don't think it was 51. I think that's cap. I think it was more than 51. I think it was hundreds of people. Um, so after that, after Nat Turner was killed, um, a white man named John Brown staged a coup. After John Brown was hanged, the Civil War popped off. So we have like a system of I mean a history of fighting back. But what concerns me now is I don't know if we're at a situation where we can, because we were so unified back then. You know what I'm saying? The oppression unified us, whereas like some people in the spaces identified, we've been fractured. So I don't know what the cards hold for our future. I wanted to read what Dr. Claude Anderson says about meritorious manumission. He says meritorious manumission is a legal act of freeing a slave for good deeds as defined by the national public policy. Meritorious manumission could be granted to a slave who distinguished himself by saving the life of a white master, inventing a new medicine, or snitching on fellow slaves. Meritorious manumission is one of our biggest problems, and in my pro se opinion, that would be a good claim for reparations, given the fact that meritorious manumission was a United States government policy. But I digress.
Yeah, well, what we already see, what when we, I mean, I saw a protest out there the other day. They had nothing but 10 people that was out there for the. I'm like, where is all of these FBA? Look, and let me tell you something that is a real good solution, at which it probably won't. I'm probably just preaching to the damn choir because niggas don't listen till it's far too late. But if all those niggas that left California who want to live in other places around the country or wanted to be around black people couldn't handle the policies that the Democrats are laying on these people, if all it, I'm just saying if for a large percent of those people, percentage of black people that are on the same code, if they come to California, this is the place to fight because this is ground zero. What happens here happens all around the country. Win here. That is the solution. If we have to form it here, if it does not happen here, it doesn't happen nowhere around this country. And we've been fractioned off so much and splintered, and minds have been devoured. And it's such a weak mentality of the men these days. Men have no only motherfucker that's still a man is a nigga that's a gangster that's gonna kill himself in his own neighborhood.
Hold on. Let me understand you clearly. So you're saying California is a place to make a stand?
Yes.
I don't know much about California, but explain that.
So, um, California is ground zero for what happens all around the country. If it look, they brought up reparations and the reparations bill here. Um, a lot of things, of course, we know happened in history, which California also played a role in this, but California is ground zero. They all have to come back home. We have to fight for this place right here. This is the richest country. This is why I say country, because California is so goddamn filthy rich that it can break off from the Union and form its own military to fight the rest of the United States. The rest of the United States are broke asses compared to California. So this is where we must win. This is where they have that black caucus, and not nan one of them is FBA. And they shot down our reparations bills. And we ain't got no niggas out there protesting. The niggas ain't throwing rock. Niggas throw rocks at the penitentiary all day. You can't throw rocks at these guys at city. Man, this is the place. And all these black people from around the country have to come back to California and fight here. This is where we're going to get it for all around the country. Because look,
Yeah,
all of these people have been produced out of, look, because they have a 10-year program, or and they have a 10-year program, then they have a 20-year program. So one of the things where they're getting messed up, because they're so adamant about this, they wanted to make Gavin Newsom the president. They want him to run. So who comes out of Kamala Harris came out of California. Gavin Newsom, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all of the what happens here, this is ground zero. This is where we have to fight. All of them
Schwarzenegger's
people.
German. He can't be the president.
Okay, but forget. But anyway, he terminated a lot of niggas. And he was the governor of. This is a small country in California. But what I'm saying is
That logic.
this: all of those black people that moved out of the state of California, one thing that you do not do is when a bully pushes you and punks you, you do not run. And the very thing you do not do when you face with in front of a grizzly bear, you do not run from a grizzly bear. You will be eaten. You will
What you
you will
stand there and
die.
fight the bear?
No, you the
well,
way to fend off a
that's
grizzly
kind of
bear is you can't fight him, of course. But god damn it, we could have got up in front of that damn city council or and get you.
well. I hear what you're saying. It's kind of going in circles. I don't. That's kind of complicated because I feel like I don't know. I have a lot of opinion. I hear what you're saying. The Ninth Circuit, from a legal standpoint, is the most powerful circuit. That's California. But I don't know. What do you think, Kanye? What are your thoughts?
Man, I think people who watch too much YouTube. I just came to make the statement that if a state was to secede from the
But they
union,
formed reparations
just
bill
real quick.
here. The
Let
No,
plebiscite
real
Kanye
quick, real
let
quick.
Kanye
plebiscite
finish.
Hold on.
was here.
Let
So
Kanye finish.
okay, so I will say this, right? I understand, right? When we look at this, we always get rose-colored glasses, right? However, we have to actually look at there's the way the world should be and the way it actually is, right? Now, unfortunately, for the unfortunate, right, we are fighting this battle through the legal system, right? That's all we advocate for. All this other stuff is a pipe dream. At the end of the day, what we can do is reintroduce the bills. That's it, right? And this is where local elections count. Vote these motherfuckers out. That's what you got to do, right? California, just like Hawaii, is going through this thing, right? In Hawaii, they call it priced out of paradise, where they're raising the rents to the so high that people there can't afford it. San Francisco is the most expensive place to live in America, right? Continental U.S. and Hawaii alike. That being said, people on the low end of the economic scale cannot afford to live in California. It's just that simple, right? That's why
When
people
you
are leaving.
follow the rules, but
People
they
are
broke the
leaving.
law, we're going to
Just hold
break
on, real quick,
their
real quick,
laws
real
and their
quick. Hold on, real quick,
jaws.
real quick, real quick, real quick. People are leaving California from the average everyday blue collar person to the Fortune 500 companies because it's so expensive and they're trying to dictate how people run the board. It is, by all means, yes, it is a very nice place to be. However, their policies make it highly, highly unattractive for anybody trying to run a profitable business. So, that being said, but back to the reparation situation, right? There are legitimate claims that black people in this country have. And the only way to get those claims and those justice is by putting the right people in place to get it. Now, if anything, this election has showed a lot of our people that even the most liberal, left leaning people don't give a fuck what we got going on. It was a Republican guy Albeit, I think he was trolling, but it was him who was like, "Well, let's at least hear what they're talking about." They didn't even let the shit touch the flow. That being said, we need that should be a wake up call. They call it a Negro wake up call. That should have been all of our Negro wake up call, especially the brothers and sisters out there in California. So now they should be more motivated than ever when 2026 come around to get these motherfuckers out of the paint. Everything else, I think we shouldn't get distracted with the sideline stuff, right? Because once you start getting distracted with the sideline stuff, you forget what's really important. Don't forget they're gonna try to throw a bunch of cotton candy and shit in your face, but no, we need to get these people out. There need to be an active campaign trying to push Gavin Newsom out, everybody who voted against reparations, and get our own candidates in there. That's what the idea is. Even if it takes 60, 70 years. We need to push that shit. And I understand the idea of not backing down from a fight, cool. But there are ways to win this fight, right? There's multiple ways to win a war, right? The more ways you explore, the ones that make sense, the less resources you use in the process. That's all I wanted to say. Shout out to you, Professor. My bad, Nikki. How you doing? I was just coming in here to listen, but when I heard that, I'm like, whoa, let's not get too distracted.
Yeah, yeah. That seems like that's way, yeah. Moving back to California, I don't know. And I stay in my place. I don't know much about California. 7-4. What you got?
Yeah, I just want to salute Little Hawk because because no lie was told what this man was saying in the sense that the fight, yeah, Ground Zero is California in the sense that yeah, it's the epicenter for all for all the immigration assault and everything. Yeah, it is, and those yeah, and the family in California, look, they they got that reparations bill started. I mean, it didn't start at where I'm in Louisiana. It didn't start in Mississippi. It started in California, and they made progress. And if we don't move back there, we got to support our people in California because I mean, because they're isolated, they got nobody to run to. It's not like if you're in Louisiana, you got Mississippi, you got Alabama, they're isolated. So we gotta support them. We gotta respect the hard work they put in. And if they can make it work in California, I think they can make it work anywhere. So yeah, I mean, so don't put down what they doing there. I mean, support them, fight with them, ally with them. Do what you can. And with that, I yield the mic.
I just want to say this about California because we live here, so we understand. But one thing that we do understand with these people is when they started to gentrify us, oh, they started to get, how white supremacy gets overt. They were very like they were very covert at first, but when they started that gentrification shit, it started to get very overt around this motherfucker, and to the point to where these people take on the hue of the movement. They take on black hue as if they're black people, and so this is a major and a huge problem. One thing, sometimes you got to take it back to basics. A fight is a fight. These people love to jump us and love to outnumber us here. I fought a lot of Mexicans when I was in school. One thing they didn't do is when it was a one-on-one, they knew ain't nothing cracking. But when they
Damn right.
when they had like 10 against one, that's when they would look. And so it's simple mathematics. Numbers do not lie. And I yield.
No lies told.
Yep. So, interracial relations, according to Dr. Wells, and Dr. Wells identify interracial relations as an escape. Um, Literally, she said it's an escape from white supremacy. Now, I will say that obviously, um, interracial, people fall in love with who they fall in love with. But where's the love? The love is within your own group, within your own family. If you fall in love with somebody outside of your own nuclear group, that's okay. But what we need to ask ourselves is why we're falling in love. One of my favorite psychologists, Carl Jung, basically, and I'm paraphrasing the hell out of Carl or Dr. Jung, but he said that basically the your motivations are prescribed by the dominant society. Who said it even better than that? Even though I don't really follow rock with Charlemagne like that, Charlemagne the God wrote a book called what was the name of that book he wrote? It was his first book.
Black privilege or
It's his
Was it
something, or
Shook Ones
Black
by?
Privilege.
Oh,
That's it. Black Privilege. And Black Privilege, that's it. Black Privilege, which is kind of a little ridiculous book, but it was some golden nuggets in there. Charlemagne said that he has a whole chapter called "Fuck Your Dreams," and basically the premise behind that is he said that he wanted to be a rapper, and he was whack as fuck. But he didn't want to, nobody was telling him he was whack because he was trying to be nice. But he met a black entrepreneur, I think he was a medical doctor, that said, "Man, why do you want to be a rapper?" And he said, "Because I want to rap." He's like, "No, you don't." He said, "You're sorry as hell. You're never going anywhere as a rapper." He said, "You want to be a rapper because you want to buy your mama a house and you want to live a certain way, right? You want that lifestyle." He's like, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, find a realistic way to get that lifestyle." That's kind of what Carl Jung was talking about. Jung was saying that society makes you think you're supposed to do something because it's what it's programming you to do. And as I turn on commercials and I watch these commercials with interracial couples running around, and then they'll show Caucasian man and wife together happy. I can't help but wonder: are they trying to prescribe race mixing on my people? And if so, I think back to what Chancellor Williams said about race mixing and during the last time the black man and woman controlled the planet. Dr. Chancellor Williams insinuated that race mixing was the beginning of a downfall. Again, I love everybody. You're gonna fall in love with who you fall in love with, but we're in a time and place where we need each other, and it'd be best, in my opinion, for the foundational Black American man to get with the foundational Black American woman. But that's just my opinion. Kanye.
no, I agree 1,000,000%. Marriage is a choice. It's a political act, if you ask me. Who you marry, and I think we need to start thinking generational. Hear people talk about generational wealth all the time. Women live longer than men. It does make sense for you to work your entire life to pass it on to somebody who's gonna pass it on to people who don't even look like you. That is the craziest shit in the world. I mean, you look at it now, like just look what happens, right? Take a look at Patrick Mahomes, right? His dad, black man. His mom, white woman. His wife, white woman. His child looks Caucasian, 100%. It's literally ethnocide. It's like literally it's the eugenics all over again. So it's like, why would you play into that? And as a people, if you play into that, you become a tool in your own oppression. Makes no sense to me. Now, like I said, if you want to do it, then go ahead and do it. But don't claim you pro black. That's my thing with Cornell West never got around. It's like, huh, sound good, but yeah, you ain't practice this in your real life. And I noticed that with a lot of people on the other side of the aisle, i.e., the Pan Africans, a lot of them had those mixed race kids. And it's crazy because their kids grow up and go outside too. So it's like, well, what are y'all teaching these people in the home? Like, that's a legitimate question to
Yeah.
ask. So it's like, all right, if you're really for reparations and generational building, if I don't live long to see it, why would I tamper and damage my offseas for not seeing it? Doesn't make any sense. So people don't think long term. They think 5 minutes out. And this short term thinking, it costs us so much in the long term, right? People sell grandma house. It's been a house for 2 generations. You sell it when it get to you. It takes one fucked up link in the chain to break the whole thing. So
Break the whole thing. Yes.
but yeah, that's just all I want to say. But I agree with you in short.
Yeah, Dr. Welsing also said that she argued that when you marry outside your race, your all of your wealth and your assets go outside the black community. And we see that time and time again with our ball players that marry Caucasian females. When they pass away, that money is going to her. We're at a position of having the lowest home ownership we've ever had. Ladies and gentlemen, our home ownership was better during the civil rights movement. I mean, we need to figure out something. Again, for those of you who just came in, I argue that we need think tanks. We need to get together off the app and come up with logical solutions to fix our problems, but only we can fix our problems. I'm gonna get one more speaker and then I'm gonna head to bed. Uh, BJ8, you speaking, bro? BJ8, 5LA.
Man, get you some rest, bro. I hear it in your voice.
Yeah, I'm starting
Oh,
to get
okay.
sleepy.
Yeah, no, my
Go
bad. I was
ahead.
trying to talk, and my kids was kind of in the background, was putting in the bed. But no, I definitely agree with everything that y'all saying. I think race mixing, definitely is bad. And then also, from reading the ISIS papers and studying the history of racism, I mean, we pose the biggest threat to white supremacy in itself, but also I think that with marrying outside of your race and accumulating the wealth that we accumulate is constantly just another avenue of wealth leaving the black community. So yeah, I definitely agree exactly with what y'all saying. I think anybody can be with anybody that they choose to, but once you're talking about marriage, which I think in itself is it's more than just a relationship, it's a contract with two people connected, and so then you connect your family and all of your assets and all of those different things like that. And I think more people should be more cautious and wise on who they decide to kind of build their life with and sign that contract, because you see it more and more as of late. The situation with it's the ball player RJ Hampton, is it RJ Hampton? Yeah, and just looking at his situation between him and the woman that he chose to have a child with, which is, I'm guessing she's probably look like she probably got a cut of black in her, or she got a real good tan. I'm not sure, but I'll say this: just in the way that she was acting with, filming him and trying to provoke him, and then jumping on social media claiming that he kidnapped his child while he's on an actual visit. You
Yeah,
know
that
what I
was a
mean?
regular visitation. Yeah.
Right, right, right. And so, black men, we have to really, really wake up, because when we start accumulating wealth within this country, it's so many different ways that white supremacy has set up to be like, all right, we can't get you this way, we can't get you this way, well then we'll get you this way. And so I think the more we start to see the information and see the downfall in those decisions that we make, marrying outside our race, not even just black men, but black women as well. I seen a video with some black women was married to a white dude and was kind of going viral, and she was like picking cotton and describing how she loved picking cotton, and then here come her white husband and I'm like, go figure. So yeah,
She
it's
was not FBA. That chick was not FBA, but keep going.
oh,
Yeah, she was
okay,
a
okay,
tether.
okay.
Yeah, she was a tether
Uh,
for sure.
uh, well, it makes even more sense. So, but I'm definitely, think that we should actually be more wiser on who we choose to sign that contract with, because when the relationship or the marriage go bad and they start splitting up assets, more times than not, these athletes or these rich entertainers really really pay for that.
Right on. Um, I want to give Dr. Welsing the last word. Dr. Welsing said, Francis Chris Welsing said, quote, the racist social system can survive only if black manhood is destroyed. We're target number one, ladies and gentlemen. Quote, it steadily has removed strong black male images, such as those presented by Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. Initially, it replaced those powerful, progressive, and constructive images with the um, powerful television and movie images of Geraldine and Superfly. The racist media then followed with the message to blacks that it's good times. To see pathetic black adult males who never seem to find a decent paying job and a teenage black male son who is a clown and a criminal shoplifter who never studies, but who has an intense interest in academic subjects. Innumerable like examples follow. These weak black male media images persist into the present. We will if they persist into the present, we will return to the pitiful times of the real life to face the fact that the average college trained black female has a salary scale only $300 lower than her white college trained counterpart, whereas a black male college graduate earns $3,000 less than the black male college high school graduate. I left on that note because that's I wanted to kind of bring home one of the main reasons that I'm seeing with our brothers in Gen Z who I serve. One of the reasons why they're looking for women elsewhere. They're looking for women elsewhere, which is a big mistake. They're doing it because the system has told them that they're less than black females, and our little boys, our young men, are suffering a self-esteem issue. So as men, that's our responsibility. We're going to have to figure out a way to boost our young men's self-esteem and boost their self-confidence to whereas they can confidently talk to a foundational black American female. I guess I'll make a space about that later on. I enjoyed y'all. This has been like a little quick space. Got intense for a minute, but any final words before we close? True Stacia, final words?
I appreciate the space that you don't say it. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the space, and it was a really great conversation.
Thank you for coming. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Um, I guess we found out where the love's at. I'll see y'all again. Peace out. Bye bye.